Our next speaker is Dr. Pramod Bhende. He's the director of Vitreoretinal Services at Shankar Nethralaya. Uh, Extremely good surgeon, but what one learns from him is that despite prolific surgery, prolific amount of, humongous amount of knowledge, his humility and kindness, I think it's something worth emulating. Thank you for being what you are, Pramod. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks
He'll
for having
speak
me
to
here.
us about
It's not showing here.
PVR following diabetic vitrectomies.
What are the names?
Point about smoking till Pramod starts, that smoking causes oxidative stress. It leaks micro quantities of cyanide, which quenches oxygen, and that is how it worsens PVR. Exact mechanisms are not yet elucidated. And as Sir said, non-smoking 1 day or 1 week prior to detachment, whether it's going to help prevent, we do not know. Please. Thank you.
That helps the family also. When if a patient, wife asks for whether husband should stop smoking, and you say yes, he can stop, and then it's okay. You can see the expressions. I think that way it also helps.
Yes.
Okay. So thanks Paritosh once again for having me here. So PVR post PDR surgery, I was like in dilemma what to do. Managed to pull out few cases. Probably we'll start with a case. Next slide. So basically, is a 55-year-old male, uncontrolled diabetes, HbA1c was 11, had a laser PDR, fortunately, in a left eye. Right eye had a couple of surgeries, and then he was sent to us with having something picture like this. Left eye was stabilized. The macula is already involved in a scar here, pale disc, and you can't make out here, but what you are looking at here is entire retina was detached here, thin, transparent retina, and ischemic thing. So vision just hand movements. We decided to leave the eye alone. The reason is, again, the small area was attached superonasally, but being left eye 6'9", N6, we knew no visual potential, no point subjecting, and again, he's one of the adamant, not willing to control his diabetes at all. The another lady, 56-year-old, PDR, also had CRVO, counting finger vision. Seemingly, right eye surgery went uneventful. No complications as such, but it was combination of CRVO, bilateral CRVO, and PDR. So surgery was okay. 2 months, she comes back with this is what picture right eye. Basically, ischemic retina, severe proliferation, and whole retina is pulled off. We did attempt the second surgery, but this was second surgery. We could have small island left over at the posterior pole. She has not yet come back for her next checkup, so we don't know whether what she's vision is going to get back, because again, prognosis was obviously bad, but we did not have choice because other eye is already lost also being a CRVO. This is a third case, 15-year-old male, diabetic since 15 years, PDR, left eye already had 4 surgeries, right eye had 3 surgeries, and right eye had a vitreous hemorrhage, no other choice. And this is the left eye, when he reported for another surgery, inferior RD, severe proliferation, whole retina was pulled off here, and multiple breaks. This is the picture, and this surgery goes, pale disc, you can see the vessels are closed. Just break here is just temporal to the fovea, not fovea macular hole, and all this proliferation. Just, it's a highly edited video, 3-hour surgeries in within a minute, so please bear with me. So, ideal way is this type, you can start straight with a bimanual surgery here. Inferior retina is pulled off. Again, atropic, you see everywhere is like a sieve-like retina, multiple break. Try to be as gentle as possible. But basically, initially I started with not bimanual, but I was using light pipe here as my second instrument. So what is important, once you get a cleavage plane, what I was doing is holding the membrane in a forceps, not pulling it, but tapping the retina back, and that is what, and that to shaft of the light pipe, and that helps you to push the retina back and separating the membrane, not really pulling the membrane, because knowing retina is like multiple hole sieve-like thing. If you pull the retina here, it just retina comes in a bits and pieces, and that's the way you see here. Slowly it's coming out. Managed to just separate few things. Ultimately start becoming more and more mobile. So it takes time. You have to be, again, I think all of us today we are talking about go slow, take your own time. There's no rush here. Either put as a first case when you have a lot of energy, either put as a last case when you know there is no backlog left. So probably you have enough time for you to do these cases. So eventually, this is what we could mobilize entire retina, but also realize there was a shortening of the retina here. PFCL we try to peel other membranes, but eventually what I ended up is this was a final picture at the end, inferior RR large one, and ultimately, but just satisfaction is we settle down the retina. Let us see how much vision he get back. I do not know yet. And there's one more. Both eyes, vitrectomy, silicone oil injection for PDR, and then the reproliferation involving post-repolar. The difference here is when you see PVR membrane in our RD regular, our conventional thing, and post-PDR membranes are thicker and they are vascular. These membranes again are having a, because attachment to those left or stop of like a fibrovascular stumps there. So these vessels, again, when you try to peel off, sometimes there's high risk of detaching there and also pulling the retina there and creating more breaks as well. And sometimes, as we will see here, this part is firmly attached here. No way I could get cleavage plane. Here also I was struggling. And this is like after oil removal. And like again, trying to peel it off, had a great difficulty in finding a plane, and you don't know where you are going to tear the retina, and you don't know where those attachments are there, where retina and membrane are just one single unit. You don't want to go to the other scars, because if you pull, this is what is left over. Because this edge was stuck, I did not want to pull too much, and last thing I wanted to create a break here, the other thing. This membrane did bleed, took long time for me to stop the bleeding. Eventually he is doing well now, but that was again good eye. And this is the last case, 24-year-old female. This is similar scenario what you see the last case, but what happened here is this proliferation, and this was a lesson I learned from this case rather than previous case. When I read oil removal, this part I thought is pulling the retina, having a tug on a macular area. I said, let me release this. And during that release, I created tear along this edge. I had to re-inject the oil, settle the retina, re-oil, and then subsequent oil removal. So what happened now? Fortunately, again, this is the only eye, and most of these patients have, unfortunately, we don't have choice where to go. So managed to put this tug, which was showing pull on the retina still, my fovea was stretched. So what I did is just just create a cleavage plane here. And I know I can't peel here, I can't peel here, can't pull it. Just use the scissors to snap through in between. And what happened over a period of time, just leave that membrane, it retract on either side, and this is a limited surgery for this eye, because no way I could just pull this scar because it's a full thickness scar. So basically coming back, it's a serious complication. Incidence is somewhere between 5 to 8%, can present in early or late postoperative period. I'm talking about regmatinous detachments. There's a very high incidence of PVR in these eyes, and if once they are RD, high incidence of iris or angle neovascularization as well, and these eyes can go in neovascular. Now you need to differentiate whether it's particularly when they come in a early postoperative period, whether it's a residual SRF left because retina is mobile post-membrane dissection, or you are having a regmatinous component. If you have a doubt, just assure wait for a while. And this was a patient had a membrane pre-surgery photograph, macular traction. And once you relieve, this was a picture. We assure for more or less that there was no break created, and wait for a while. And then what happened is, over a period of time, this retina, macular area settles down, patient is doing well. But particularly when they come late onset, usually it is due to pre-retinal proliferation and leading to either tractional or combined detachment, can also have retinal schisis, and another important component here, and sometimes secondary macular hole as well. So basically it happens due to fibrous reproliferation, contraction of pre-proliferative membrane, and we need to differentiate them from settling TRD, particularly rather than tractional detachment. I would say sometimes they can have tractional schisis, and need to differentiate because those retinas may not settle totally, but it will not worsen further. So what you need to look for is further drop in vision, worsening of the traction documented, increase in the subretinal fluid with the foveomacular detachment, and if probably quite some time it's difficult for you to differentiate breaks in these eyes. So this is one eye has a macular proliferation, reproliferation, retina was not settling down, but what you need here is you remove this membrane and this eventually will settle down. So early post-op I already discussed about. When coming to basically the cause for tractional detachment, combined tractional rheumatomyositis here is because there is a tangential contraction with when you have residual fibrovascular stumps. Adjacent ILM also contracts over it, and then you have reproliferation, and this can cause stretch the already ischemic retina, leading to either new break formation or opening the previously sealed breaks, and that eventually lead to change the configuration to combine RD. And this is one of the patient having a localized detachment because surrounding that laser was there, this tiny break and localized area, so needed resurgery. So risk factors, what we have here is pre-existing severe florid proliferation or flat proliferation where you need extensive dissection, obviously, and there is a high risk of complication during surgery. When you need a prolonged surgical time, absence of PVD, and if you are associated iatrogenic break, excessive intraoperative blood. Again, all these parameters indicate that you have a more manipulation because these are pre-existing bad cases, and more manipulation induces more inflammation as well. So the cleaner job you do during primary surgery, the more clean dissection, the chances of you are reducing the risk of recurrent detachments in these eyes. So sometime during evaluation, you may not able to identify breaks, and what you need to do is sometimes good high magnification slit lamp biomicroscopy or scan through OCT multiple images. You will be able to pick up the break and will be differentiate whether dealing with tractional or rheumatic RD. So principle of surgery are same, more or less. I am not going to detail. Only thing is these eyes more likely to need buccal, but need retinotomy, or sometimes you clean dissection, and if possible, before doing retinotomy, segmental or encircling band, you try to put on support peripheral retina, so you may be able to avoid retinotomy. That's the only difference. Otherwise, surgical principle is same once you have a rheumatous component. So to conclude, RD in post-vitrectomy PDR eyes is not uncommon. It's important to differentiate between residual retinal elevation and progressive detachment. Revitrectomy with complete relief of traction is the key for successful reattachment. These eyes generally need extensive membranous dissection and biomanual surgery. Anatomical outcome probably may not be good because you saw these case reports I have shown you, but final visual outcome definitely depends on disc and macular status. I acknowledge my fellows who helped me getting this presentation and collecting images. Thank you so much, and also take this opportunity to invite all of you to our next Retina Summit, 7th Retina Summit, which the theme is retinal trauma, which is in July. Thank you so much. Thanks, Paritosh, once again.
Thank you, Pramod, for a wonderful presentation on a very difficult topic.
Thank you.
I request Dr. Anand Pangarkar to please present the memento to Dr. Pramod Mende.
It's a great pleasure.